Before I start this episode of Dad is Not a Noun, I want to thank today's sponsor, the Real Dads Network. The Real Dad Network creates a culture where fathers are actively involved in the parenting process and are portrayed and viewed as exemplary role models by society. Because when you empower dads, you strengthen families and communities all over the world. For more information on the Real Dads Network, go to www.realdadsnetwork.org. The link will be in the description below. And I'm going to let one of the brothers from the network give his testimony. And after this amazing testimony, we're going to go right into the episode.
Dads Club, Real Dads Network. It's helping me to be a better person. It's an opportunity for me to come together in brotherhood with the purpose of building each other up. And I'm not really sure how I found my way to the club, to the network, but I'm really happy that I did. I have an 11-year-old daughter, and as a single dad, sometimes it's difficult, just as it is with a single mom, or quite honestly, in a two-parent household. But the burden, I feel, is greater, given the circumstances of being Black, and sometimes what my daughter sees in the media and the news and society as images that look similar to her Black father, and they're scary. And my goal is obviously to counteract anything negative with love and support and dedication as a father. And I'm so happy that I found a network that's helping me to be a better father, to be a better person, and to really just strive towards progress every day. Vulnerability is something that is actually a strength, and I'm becoming more vulnerable through the network. So check us out, come and join us, bring your whole self.
Better fit for them, along with my crown. And since the baton was passed, I've been down. Cause failing's not an option, and dad is not a noun, not at all.
How wise they seem. Well, when he is old enough, I will show him America, and he will ride on the wheels of a dream.
Welcome to another episode of Dad is Not a Noun. My name is Ishmael, changing the narrative for men of color and fatherhood, but as well as changing the narrative on the things I care about. And what you just saw was an intimate moment between a father and a son, and he's here with me today. This video has hit almost 6 million views on social media. That's how powerful this video was. And today, my guest, he is a father first, devoted husband, an actor, as well as he is George Washington in the Broadway Hamilton in Chicago. Tamar Greene, thank you for coming on the show, brother. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing well, brother. I'm doing well. Just real quick, I'm in New York now. I was in Chicago.
You're in New York? Okay.
New York. Yeah, New York.
Okay. Nice.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
My next question, I ask all my guests because I'm all about mental health, especially in our community, mental health. How's your heart?
It's a good question. I love that question, and it's one that actually I've used as well. And I'm good, man. I'm good. My wife surprised me and brought my son downtown to see me here between shows, and it was a little extra juice I needed for the second show I got here. So I'm feeling good right now. Thank you for asking.
No problem, man. Thank you for sharing because it's all about us being vulnerable as men. Yeah. And I think as this generation, we have to teach the next generation as well as the elders. It's okay to be vulnerable. So I appreciate you sharing that with me. Let's go to that video. All right. This is a very emotional video. I'm gonna be honest with you. I kind of cried a little bit.
Mhm.
Um, I'm gonna read this quote that you put on social media. This is the sweetest surprise happened during my rehearsal. Singing to my son and him singing back was the most incredible moment of my life. Talk about that.
Yeah, man. So I was doing a solo show. Like I am in Hamilton, right? But I was taking a moment. I took a week off to do some other work, and so I was doing a solo show out in Syracuse at Syracuse University. And this moment, we were, I was planning out what I was going to sing, and I was like, you know what? I asked my wife, and she's also a Broadway actor herself. She just closed Phantom of the Opera, and I was like, do you want to sing with me? To sing a couple songs with me. And she was like, "Yeah, okay, sure." That's good. And I was like, I think that'd be great, a great addition to the show. And then I thought further, and I was like, this might be a little crazy, but what if we brought AJ up on stage at one point? And she was like, you know what? Why not? So that's when we decided to do that song. It's a song we've done together many times over the years, but this is our first child. So we had this moment to I didn't really fully, I guess, prepare myself for the exact moment. I knew it would be a lot. I knew it would be emotional because the song Wheels of a Dream from Ragtime, and Ragtime is like my favorite show, outside of Hamilton, it's my favorite show. And it talks about a lot of real issues in the world. And it's this very beautiful moment where this father, right, his black father, Colehouse Walker Jr., he's a intellectual, brilliant man. He's also a pianist. I'm a pianist personally as well, and so I connect really well to that person in that role. And then he is just kind of living his life, he's single, living his life, whatever. And he gets this particular woman pregnant, and he didn't know he got her pregnant. She didn't tell him, and as soon as he found out, he completely changed and was like, I need to be with my son. I need to be with my son, my child. I need to have a relationship with him. And so this is a moment in the show where they kind of rekindle a little bit and get, work on their relationship. And he's just so filled with joy looking at his son's face. And the first words that weren't shared in that video, the viral video, is like, it's him like holding his child. He says, I see his face. And then he's like, I hear his heartbeat. And then I look in his eyes, how wise they seem. And that's when the song and the viral video takes off. So it was just this moment where I was like, man, I feel every piece of this. I'm looking at this child, 3 months old, and I'm feeling the weight of what it means for Black men in America. And I'm feeling, and this is the rehearsal, again, referring to the video. And it just kind of hit me. I'm like, I'm gonna show you the world, kid. I'm gonna show you the world. I've done a lot of stuff, right? I'm fortunate to be a little bit older in age as a first time father. So I'm like, I've been around the world. I've done a lot of different performing all over the world, and I'm just like, now I'm like, everything is for you. Everything is for you, and I'm gonna show you the entire world. Um, so that's what that moment was for me. It was like, man, it's my first time. We're actually rehearsing it, and it hit me. And so I'm really happy that the world has felt that love as well.
And I think what resonates is that you had an empty room and it was just you and him and your
Yeah,
wife, and that's what's out. And it was just you three. Like
right.
you were disconnected to the world. But just talk about that intimate moment. Because sometimes, you don't have that responsibility to share that intimate moment with the world, but you chose to. Like, why did you guys chose to share that intimate moment with the world?
I mean, yeah, we um I didn't know that my wife would she recorded it. I didn't know she would take her phone out and record it in that moment. I think it was just, I think she just had an instinct in her as a Black woman, she always looking out, she's always thinking about stuff and something I'd want to see later. I was in the moment and she was in the moment. She was like, but I want him to see this beautiful moment. That's what I think that was going on in her head. Obviously you'd have to ask her for more of that detail. But um, I think when I saw it, it was I think it was after the show. So this was a Saturday when I was rehearsing, and then a Sunday when I actually did the show. And then I saw her recording. I believe it was Sunday night. I saw the clip. We were sharing pictures and stuff, and I was like, this is This is wild. This is really amazing. Like, okay, yeah, I think because before that we were deciding not to share a whole bunch of his face online, just because the world is kind of crazy. Um,
Yes.
but we, in this moment, we were like, you know what? This is a really beautiful moment, that I think, my family and my close friends and close followers will enjoy. And truly thought it was just going to be just a couple hundred, maybe 1,000 or whatever people viewing this. It's just a sweet moment. Never obviously would have imagined that millions of people would have taken to it so well, but I'm glad they did, because I think it's just a pure moment. Like, no matter the stuff you believe in, politics, whatever it is, you see a beautiful moment, and of course, deeper than that, you see a black man, right, loving on his black son. And I think it just speaks for itself. I didn't have to say anything in the video. The caption was, very simple. The struggles of my life are not lost on me, but it really wasn't necessarily about that on surface. It was just truly a pure moment. You could read into it afterwards, and those things can also be true. But it was just a pure, beautiful moment of love, and we decided it was perfect for the world to see.
Definitely. And without captions, it's like if you want to look at an image or a video to describe vulnerability, that video describes vulnerability.
Ooh.
Um, Talk about the voice, because I that thing resonate with me the most is a
Mm,
father's voice, your voice. When you start singing, AJ was just calm.
mm.
He said, "I'm listening to Daddy sing." So just talk about the power of a father's voice. Talk about that.
I mean, it's vital, man. It really is vital, and I can't even imagine. I think myself, there is a, I guess you can call it, like, there's a epidemic or whatever. There are people out there who don't love on their children and don't show up, and I just can't even fathom. I can't fathom that. I can't process how you would not want to be there for that child, because that voice is powerful. Your kids. I mean, I'm a new father, so I can't even fully dive into that. But I could say, even as a son, I listen and respect my father's voice so much. Every word he says, everything he's done, he's been in my life to support me for every bit of my journey. And, despite any mishaps in his own life, that is my father. That is my father. He means well, and he is human, but that power of his voice always resonates with me whenever I'm trying to make a decision or whatever. I mean, I was just texting him earlier about, like, I want your opinion on this new project I want to do. I just want your brain. Um, I love my father, and I love our relationship, and I want to be, you know, I want to be just as powerful for my own son. I want him to not have any of these toxic masculinity kind of traits, or toxic stereotypes, or any of that. I don't want him to know anything about any of that. Yeah, because that's not where I'm coming from. I'm coming with pure love, pure. If you want to cry, go ahead and cry. Go ahead and cry, because I'm a product of my own, environment, and, like, I personally am not fully able to cry when I know it would be healing and cleansing. I'm not a kind of man that's like, I don't cry for that stuff, and I'm not proud of that. I'm in therapy so that I can figure out why I can't cry so much. You know what I mean? So, but I want to make sure that that stuff stops with me. You are allowed to cry if you need to cry. Cry it out. And I'm here, and my voice is here to tell you it's okay and that you're safe.
And that's a beautiful thing, and that's awesome. Um, I can imagine how those intimate lullaby moments are with you and AJ. Like, what is your favorite lullaby you go to sing AJ to sleep?
It's funny that my wife actually kind of comes up with a lot of her own lullabies, and they're good. She's not a songwriter, which is funny, but, like, she just starts singing. She's a singer, so she started
Okay.
just singing stuff, and I'm like, oh, this is cool, and they're all made up. So I'm like, what is my favorite lullaby to sing? I think we just sing silly stuff, and the things that aren't really particular songs, but they're like silliness of the moment. About whether or not he's gonna go to sleep right now, you know. They're like, what do you think? So I'm like, no, he's just gonna stare at me, blind and see, you know, like whatever it
Right.
is. Like we just kind of make up stuff. Don't really say necessarily like lullabies. We do this one duet that's really cute. It's a Christmas song, but it felt pertinent, which is like this gospel version of Silent Night.
Oh,
You
wow.
know, and her and I sing it to him sometimes. You know, it's like it was a silent night, holy night, all is calm, all so bright, whatever. And we sing that to him a little bit. I think he just loves music, which I love. I love that he just sits and listens. You know, we'll see where that goes.
And you know, you got music in your DNA. You know, your family tree has a background in music. Your father, I do believe, was a DJ.
Yeah.
Just talk about the importance of music in parenting. I think they go hand in hand.
I think I'm a first generation American. As a first generation American, I think a lot of, and I mean that's every culture. Your music is your culture, you know. So like, I learned a lot through my father, who, like you said, is a DJ, was a DJ, whatever. But he still has his record collection. He still has
Okay.
his setup in the basement, and I grew up with him playing music all night long in the basement. Right? You know, we're trying to sleep, go to school, and like music is still playing because that's what he loves. You know, he's got his headphones on, and he's got his microphone. He's an MC too. You know, whatever. He'll just be down
Okay.
there, just literally like a party of his own in the basement. You know, so I grew up with him, just like exposing us to all kind of reggae music and the culture through music, but also all kind of other stuff, American and hip hop and classical things sometimes, and you know, all different kind of music, and that's um I don't know, that's and my mother too. My mother was a pianist and a singer. She was born in England, but by way of Jamaica as well. So you know, we're Jamaican culture. So like her as well. You know, when I bought a house, I said the first thing I'll do when I buy a house is buy a piano because I'm a pianist first.
Yeah.
And so I bought a piano. Literally the second day, I was on an air mattress and I bought a piano. um, but I remember my first moment, my mom came over to the house and she sat at the piano and played things that I grew up watching and listening to her play. And that's the connection I have with my parents, is really like it's wound in the music and in the
Right.
culture. For me, I grew up as a shy kid, and I feel like when I didn't have words, I spoke through the music. So when my parents are playing the music, that's also a language for me, as well. So I think it's incredibly important to share your culture, share your loves, um, through the art and yeah, and the music.
Yeah, and I think one of the critical things too is it creates a structure of discipline. Because as a
Yeah.
musician, as a singer, you through your parents, your father was a DJ, your mother was heavy in music. You saw that discipline in music, and how that helped you as a singer, but as well as in education too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's real. Yeah, I had, you know, I had classical lessons. I had lessons every week, and sitting between lessons, you had to practice the piano as well. Sit down and have a regimen of sitting down and practicing. We all, me and my siblings, had to pick up an instrument, and we all had to practice. Um, and even if they didn't take to the instrument, they would, you know, my parents would try something else, and you know, maybe basketball or something like that, or maybe baseball. I played baseball as well. So similarly, those things are about teaching you a regimen and making sure that you understand the structure and and hard work and all of that. But specifically with music, yeah, it definitely teaches you structure and it gets your brain. There's ties to math even. You know, like also have a computer degree as well. So like, you know, that the music has taught me a lot along the way.
No, it's facts. It's so true, and a lot of people don't understand that in music that it takes a lot of discipline and structure to keep a consistent career like you have for a long time to be in Broadway, making music and things like that. It's that discipline and structure that keeps that longevity that you've been doing for a long time. And going into like Broadway and musicals, like, can you draw some comparisons? I know you're a new dad, or maybe, with your dad, can you draw some similarities of how musical and Broadway it help you as a parent?
Um, yeah, I think that as an actor, I always talk to students about how acting is not pretending to be something you're not. It's actually being yourself in different circumstances. And so in order to find out who you are, you have to do that work on yourself. I'd say through therapy, there's many different ways, but like you have to do that work with yourself and be honest and find out who you are so you can explore the truths that this career demands of you. And so with that, I think when you figure out who you are, I think you can now you're able to communicate better with a child because I obviously again because I'm young, a new dad, but that's what I feel that is something that happens with I'd say like parents and children. It's like it's a miscommunication, right? You get angry because you don't know how to communicate what you're trying to say, and and then now you're beating the child because you don't know how to communicate properly, but you don't have the tools. So I think that's part of something that that the art specifically has taught me is how to figure out what I'm trying to say actually, and how to figure out a better way to say it. How can I make sure this point is getting across? And again, I say this again because this is my first child. I got 3 months, so I'm not, trying to give advice to anyone who's got 5 kids and been doing this a long time. So I don't, that's all I'm saying is my goal. It might not work. Maybe it'll be something different. Maybe, but that's the foundation of how I'm walking into this is to try to be a bit more aware of, the traumas and stuff that we none of us escape unscathed. We all come out as childhood with something, right?
Right.
So that's my outlook and my goal.
But also too, just talk about being a new father, having that vision, because one of the most powerful thing you said in one of those interviews, you went to one of the first early Hamiltons in New York, and you were blown away, and you're like, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
And you became the Black George Washington in the Broadway Hamilton in Chicago. Just talk about that visual and make it happen.
Yeah, I saw the show. I won the lottery first time I saw the show in 2015, and I didn't know what the show really was about. But when I got here, I sat down and I saw there's all these, celebrities here, and Joe Biden was like 4 or 5 rows behind me, and all the stuff's going on. I'm like, okay, let me take this serious. Let me see what's going on here. And the music starts, and I'm like, okay, wow, he's talking about like a kid from the Caribbean who's coming here, trying to make a better life for himself. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's my family. Everyone in my family's been trying to come out of Jamaica and come to the States here or go to Canada or whatever to like find to find opportunities and find work and such. So I really connected with this show, with this story, on so many levels. Culturally, I feel like they got it right with so many hip hop references, and the Schuyler sisters being kind of like the Destiny Child, and we got like such a jungle sometimes, but we wonder how I keep on going under. Versus like even why I even bring the thunder. You know what I mean? Like it's clearly like our culture, this Black culture, laced all through the show, and I was like, wow, this is it, and this is a show that'll show my family why I love to do what I do. So yeah. Well, this show is, it's the culture is all woven inside it. So that's why I'm always like proud to be a part of it. And I was like, from that moment, 2015, I was like, I have to be a part of this thing. And I was, I worked other things and, still was working, but I worked for 2 years of auditions and callbacks and a lot of no's. They told me no a bunch of times. And I was like, all right, cool. And a no was usually not right now. In our industry, sometimes it means not right now. So I didn't give up. I continued for years, and I finally booked the Chicago company in 2018. Actually, 2.5 years, I'll say. Booked the Chicago company in 2018 to be George Washington, and I did that through January 2020 till that company closed, and that's when they asked me to come to New York City for the Broadway company.
That's awesome, man. And it's beautiful to see that, you're always continue progression, always reaching to the next level. I got one more question. This has been an amazing conversation.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
what advice has your dad given you, being that you're a new dad, that's staying with you for like the rest of your life? What great advice has your dad, or like gems that your dad installed into you as being a new dad?
I say that my dad has shown me through example more than he has like jumped in and tried to pull me in any particular direction. I think he watches me and he like sits back and just watches, tries not to, interfere as much as he observes, but he has shown me pricelessly, if I could say, how to show up, you know, even in your imperfections, how to just be there and show up. You might make mistakes along the way, but he always comes back and he shows up. He might not have the right words all the time, but he is there. He's trying to work through his own stuff, the stuff he comes from, that generation. And I see that, and I think that's something that's important for us to also, look at our parents, and again, like I said earlier, and realize that they're parents. They are parents themselves. I see so much of my grandmother in my father, and I'm like, oh, that's why you're that way. That's why you maybe mumble "I love you" instead of saying it straight up. You know what I mean? That's that generation. It's like, I know you love me. I know it. It's like, I love you. I love you, son. Whatever. How you doing, the son of mine? Like different, words. I'm like, this is your way of just showing you love. And I feel that, and that encourages me to and he's always. I remember one time I went to the house, back to his house as an adult, and I went up to his room for something. He wasn't in his room. He was somewhere in the basement or whatever, probably DJ. And I went to his room and he had a book on his nightstand that was, I can't remember exactly what the title was, but it was along the lines of How to Be a Better Father. And I was like, this man is, 50 years old, whatever, and still doing the work on how to be the best father, and that speaks for how he's been all my life. Through mistakes, through whatever, he's still working on himself.
Wow.
And that inspired me to continue to always work on myself.
Wow. That's amazing. And thank you for showing up to this podcast. I appreciate it. You didn't have to, and you took moment out of your day to do it. How can people find you on social media?
Yeah, absolutely, man. No, it's just been a pleasure, man. I'm on Instagram at Tamar.Greene. You can also find me on my website at www.tamargreene.com. And go to my contact us page. You can hit me up that way as well. And of course, 8 times a week, you can find me at the Richard Rogers Theater here in New York City on 46th Street, playing George Washington on Broadway, which I'm about to do in 19 minutes.
Yes. And quick question. I
Yeah.
saw a video of you. I know, I guess it was COVID, but you were singing at Yankee Stadium. How was that feeling?
Yeah. It was good, but it was really cool. That was I had the fortune to sing a couple times for a couple different major stadiums for me. I'm a New Yorker, right? I live in New York all my life, and I got to sing "God Bless America" and the anthem at the Yankee Stadium, and I got to sing at the Knicks, which which is amazing, right? The Knicks. It's big time. My father loves the Knicks all our lives. Patrick Ewing era, Starks, all that era of the Knicks was when they were their best. So it's wonderful to be asked to come back to iconic stadiums that are kind of for my own personal life and for the world really, and sing the anthem, man. It really is an honor, honestly, truly an honor. So Yeah, it's good. And I look forward to doing it again.
Definitely. And again, it
Yeah.
was an honor for you to be on the show, knowing that you have a performance in 18 minutes. So again, thank you for joining the
Yes,
podcast. And
absolutely.
out there for people, if you love what I offer, like, subscribe, all that good stuff.
Oh yeah.
All the amazing dad's descriptions links will be
Mhm.
in the description below. And we're out. Peace.
Awesome. All right, y'all.
All right.